Let's get to your questions tonight, mainly for you, Frank. Any chance of a loan move back to the Premier League?
No, not as it stands. I think I've had quite a long season and a half almost. I didn't get much break this year. Before that, I was at the World Cup. Didn't play so much, but cheers, guys. You know, I played a lot of football, and I think it's very important for me now, particularly at this stage of my career, is to have a bit of rest here. It'd be nice to have a bit of family time over Christmas and have a good pre-season. Because I missed when I arrived at New York. I didn't have a good pre-season behind me. I had to try to rush it and got injured. Next year, it's important to do that.
So the follow-up question to this is this one. Will you finish your career in New York?
I would think so. I mean, I think once you go past 30, I've always taken it year on year, you know, and you see how you feel, you see how your body feels, how you're playing, whether you're enjoying it. I'm certainly enjoying it at the minute, but I would never go on to the next year at this point. I'm looking forward to next year. I'll evaluate that one as I go and whether I feel that I can keep contributing, because the last thing I want to do is carry on playing when I feel like my level's not where I want it to be. That's the day that I would say I've had enough.
Coming at you here. Which was better of these two? Champions League 2012 or breaking the Chelsea goal-scoring record?
Oh, the Champions League, without a doubt. I think Carol will tell you. And we both won it once, and I'm sort of happy in a way it was that way, because it was so special, and I'm sure it was for you,
You won it as well?
Yeah, but you won it more than once or not?
No,
well,
1.5.
1.5.
Stand.
But you know, I think for me it is it's such an elite competition, and when we won it, it'd been so many years where we tried and failed, and we almost thought, and I personally thought that I was 33, I think, when we won it, that if it didn't happen that year, I found it getting harder every year. The standard of Barcelona and Real Madrid, I think, was improving. And if we didn't win it that year, I don't think we would have won it in my era there. So it was a special night.
But that goal-scoring record as well, 211 is something which you were very proud of.
Oh, that was a massive personal thing for me, and I didn't realise until I did it how happy I was with it. And yeah, I mean personally, but it is cliched. But team wins are better, and particularly the Champions League. It was something the club had never won. And we were in Munich against Munich. It was a lot of special moments in the run-up to the final. It was the best night of my footballing career by some distance.
A club you know well, West Ham. How do you feel about their move to the Olympic Stadium from
Should we
Upton
just
Park?
go home here?
Carry on, Frank. The menace will come in at some point.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting. I think it's a good thing. I think the stadium is sitting there. What were you going to do with it? And I think for West Ham, it's local in the area to them. It's a very West Ham fan-based area. It just remains to be seen whether it suits them as a team and as a club. You know, moving to a new stadium sounds great. We all know the atmosphere at Upton Park at times will help the team massively with how close quarters it is. Whether they lose a bit of something there and suffer with that, I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I think it's a stadium. Something has to be done with the stadium, and it suits West Ham there.
And at the start of the season, people were saying they're taking a huge risk with Slaven Bilic, particularly with the move to the stadium coming up. I know they lost this weekend, but has it surprised you so far?
No risk for me. I know Slaven pretty well. I played with him for a couple of years there, and not kept in contact, but we've crossed paths since in our football worlds. And very smart bloke, huge charisma. A perfect fit for the club. I played there as an affiliation with the fans there, and I really liked Slaven personally, and I wasn't surprised. I expect him to do well there, and he's showing that.
He's certainly doing that at the moment, that is for sure. Right then, you might get involved with these two in this one. Best player you played against?
Messi. By
country mile by
considerable. Yeah, I mean, Ronaldo and Messi are the standouts. It's not a difficult answer, is it, for those two? But I think Messi, for his individual ability, when we played him when he was at the top, I mean, you can't get near him when he's at his best. And special player. For me, he's the best of all time. He's certainly the best I've played against.
What about in this country, directly in midfield?
Steven Gerrard.
Well done, Frank.
He's looking at you there.
Stevie G. Roy Keane.
Scholes in there?
Scholes.
Stop putting words in his mouth.
It's a suggestion.
Patrick Vieira. I mean, I was young when I played Patrick and Roy Keane, and I just, they bossed me. I was a young boy. I remember Patrick kept knocking it over my head, and I couldn't get it the other side all the time. He had those long legs, and I really admired them coming through. But I think over the period of my career playing against Stevie in those big games at Liverpool, when he was on top of his game, you knew when Stevie was on top of his game that he was a force, And we had great battles. I had a lot of respect for him as a player, and even though we had those sort of rivalries, I think as you get older, it's much easier to have a view on it rather than that sort of view when you're playing each other and you're real rivals. And I think Steve, you have to give complete respect for as a midfield player.
What about playing with who you've enjoyed most? I mean, you've played with some big characters, the Didier Drogbas of this world.
Didier and John Terry. I think they're a complete symbol of Chelsea. John particularly for the captain role that he plays. I think he's huge for the club, and I hope he stays beyond this year. I think he still has a huge... We're all talking about him now, but I think John is so big, and he will be a big point of them turning this corner, because he'll be the one in the dressing room. We talked about personalities earlier, and he's had that throughout his career there.
How long can he go on, do you think?
I still think he's got two or three years in him. I mean, the thing is, the thing with John is, 5 months ago, we're all decided that he's the best centre half in the country by a way. Now, people are starting to ask questions. It's not easy for John. I know, Carol will tell you, when you get to an older stage of your career and you don't play all the time, it's quite difficult coming back in the team, and everyone analyses every move you make. So I think he's huge for the club, and him and Didier were the best for me.
I want to ask you about that, because I think over the last couple of years, because of the immediacy now and managers coming in and not managing older, but you've obviously been in and out of teams, Stevie, you sit with Wayne Rooney at United at the moment, pressure coming on him. Yeah. You've got Yaya Toure, who played last week in the Capital One Cup, and you think, why? Yeah, obviously, because I played at United under obviously a unique manager, but Scholes and Giggs played till they were 38 and 40 because they were managed in the 30s. John Terry now obviously isn't playing that well, say, or Wayne Rooney's not playing that well, but they've still got a big part to play if managed correctly. I mean, what did you find when you were coming to the end of your career, from going from being a certain starter to accepting that there's a change?
Yeah, I didn't like it at first, and I think we all had that first reaction. You know, you don't understand it, you probably don't agree with it, whether you're right or wrong, and then I think you have to take a decision here and say, you know, where's the benefits of it? And I'm part of a great club, which I was fortunate to be. The same with Cara, I think, and the same with Scholes and Giggsy, obviously. They know they're going to be part of a successful thing, and for me, it wasn't a problem. The most important thing for me was managing myself. So if I wasn't playing, I had to train at the right level. I had to train a bit less as you get older. It's a fact. You get injured, you get tired more easily. So I think it's the intelligence of the player to adapt the way they play, but also what they do in between. But I do think you need to play pretty regularly. If you come out of the team for a long time, it's very difficult to come back in.
Were you communicated to? Did the manager say to you, look, I'm leaving you out this week, but I'll play you next week? Or was it just a case of you're not playing today?
Some do and some don't. And certain ones I had later in my career didn't. And I know people like Ancelotti. You know, I was younger when he was at Chelsea, but I know he dealt with a lot of older players. And he would be the type that would speak to you and look forward to games. Jose Mourinho did with me in the year when he came back, and would give you a bit more of an insight, which is nice, because no matter whether you played 500 games for a club or 10, you want to be told, maybe now and again when the manager doesn't want to play you, just a little nudge in the week at training, you know, don't worry, I'm thinking of that, or this is what I want you to do differently.
I can't think how it could ever be right for a player in the 30s, who's obviously been at the club for a long time, not to be spoken to before he's left out. I can't think of a situation where it could ever be right.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, and that's, I think it's... Well, it's a personality. The manager said a personality to be able to deal with players and say that. And maybe some don't want to, and especially, you know, managers come into clubs and players that are there. Maybe they can't, you know, they don't want to front that conversation up, so they don't take it on. But I agree with you. I think you have to say it.
Another question for you, Frank. You've sort of answered this: the best midfielder you played alongside, and how much have you enjoyed playing alongside Pirlo?
I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I had such an admiration from him from afar. I think his ability on the ball, his pass. I played games against him. He's at Juventus a few times, England, Italy, and I think he's a class act. His passing, his appreciation, he's second to none. His quality, his free kicks. He's a pleasure to train with, and he's a really nice fella, very humble, does his little thing off the pitch, and a huge name. Everywhere we go in America, everyone, you know, they're all standing outside with the Italian shirts, and the rest of us get ignored, and Pirlo gets all the love.
He's the one, is he?
Yeah.
Frank, you mentioned about Stevie in the Premier League. Now, there was always that talk with England.
Yeah.
Can Stevie and Frank play together? What was your take on it? Should only one of you have played, or could you have maybe changed it differently, or a manager done something differently with the two of you?
I think there were times when he could have done something different. I certainly will take personal responsibility if ever I don't reach levels, and I certainly, at times of World Cups, I think, England games, it's difficult, it's high level, and sometimes I'll be honest enough to say personally, I don't want to talk for Stevie, but I think there were definitely times when I think that we could have been managed better. There could have been a way to get the best out of us. When we were both in our prime, playing very regularly for Liverpool and Chelsea in the Champions League, scoring goals, being involved heavily. We went away with England sometimes and you're playing a 4-4-2, Stevie's asked to sit, Stevie's on the left.
Do you think a lot of it was formation-wise?
I think a little bit. I mean, I played with Capello for 2 or 3 years in the holding role as such, as a two, you know, it's a little bit of a chance to go forward, and I wasn't playing that for Chelsea ever. So I think there was an element of that. And but, you know, it was always a team thing, and you know because you were there, and Gaz knows from playing for England for as long as time as we did, virtually, but it's... there was something missing that I felt when I look back at my England career. I think, I don't know what it is, maybe we play against each other out every week. There's a little groups, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. And probably when you're, I don't know, Argentinian and they're all playing all over the world, they come home and there's a big family and there's a different spirit. And I'm not sure we always managed to get that together.
But when you look back now and you think, obviously Stevie and Frank both like to run forward at the time, both charging forward. Stevie in the right channel more often, not Frank in the left channel. And you think Scholes was pushed out to left. You think if Scholes had just sat behind them, like a Pirlo or that type of player, you see Schweinsteiger's been moved from a winger, Pirlo's been moved from a number 10. And Scholes had that control to play that. You think you'd like to see that now in the peak, wouldn't you? You think that could have worked, but it was never ever experimented with. It was never explored. It was never seen. You think, what a shame that could have been. You know, we always, shoehorning players out onto the left-hand side, whether it be Stevie, Scholesy, and you just think there must have been a way to fit them in somewhere.
I thought you helped Sven pick the team.